Walter Paz, the Director of Defense Programs for Immuta. It's customer success for public sector. I've worked as an intelligence soldier for the United States Army and a civilian for many years with data information sharing. There's been many obstacles, but in relation to this article, the top three would be the disparate data sets as the networks, the lack of a common data environment, and the inconsistencies in data access. Disparate data networks, when we talk about that, we're talking about different networks and domains where data sits. So, unlike in the civilian sector where you have the internet and you have access to whatever you want, in the government, we have the NIPRNet, CIPRNet, JWICs, and in our case overseas, we had a Centrix and a BICES, which were additional networks of information that data resided on. Each one of those is a silo of data, right? So it's not like NIPRNet and CIPRNet are talking to each other, or CIPRNet or JWICs talking to each other, Centrix or BICES are talking to each other. These were all different domains where data resided in, and in order for you to access that data, you had to log into each specific domain. There's no common data environment. If there was a common data environment, then you would have a platform where you could log into and either query or search data in accordance to what you had access and provisioned access to, regardless of whether that data was on NIPRNet, CIPRNet, JWICs, Centrix, or BICES. So each one of these domains is a silo. So you have to individually log into each one of these silos. If you had a common data platform where you could just log in with your credentials and the system already knew what you should and should not have access to, then you would eliminate the fact that you would have to log into each individual one of those domains and have access to the data that is provisioned for you immediately. When you have different networks and different data, although it's good for the environments that it's going in, it's not good for somebody who's trying to build the bigger picture, right? Because you're trying to bring all of that information in, whether it's unclassified data, whether it's information collected from an operator in the field, or whether it's intelligence information collected from an intelligence source, right? It has to be brought into some environment. If it cannot be all brought in, then you're only working with what you got, and you're only working with what you have access to. When you look at what Immuta can do, right? So Immuta can govern the access of data. It can write policies on data. It can ensure that it's embedded into the identity, credential, and access management so that when that user logs in, it knows what data should be provisioned to that user off the bat. So you're talking about policies that a data steward, a data engineer, a network engineer, a system admin will all have to do in one. Immuta as a software can eliminate a lot of those steps.